Hello, I'm Alyssa, and today I'm bringing you my August 2018 favorites. If you're new to my channel and don't know what my favorites are, that's where I list the now included books, movies, TV shows, games, yada yada yada, that I've enjoyed over the past month. And as I have a good time talking about the things I love recommending things to you guys, so maybe you can watch or read or play something you haven't experienced before and enjoy it. It brings me a lot of joy when I know that you guys get joy from what I enjoy. I know that was really complicated, but let's get into it. Also, I'll have timestamps down below in the description box in case you don't want to hear about a certain field. But first off, let's talk about the books I really enjoyed this month. First up is Under the Skin by Michelle Faber. I love this. I love this way more than the movie. I like the movie, but this is way better. This has more of a story. This follows a woman named Isserley who lives in Scotland, and she picks up hitchhikers. And that's all I'm going to say, but Isserley herself isn't entirely normal. And the people she picks up off the side of the road, she calls them Vodsels, and you learn why they're called Vodsels as you slowly unravel the mystery of the story. It's written so beautifully. Michelle Faber has a way of writing that is just exquisite. He brings Scotland to life with the story, and it's almost like you're there with Isserley in the car as she picks up these hitchhikers. And the story is really about what it means to be human, about empathy, about discovering yourself, and it's just so beautiful. There are some over-sexualized parts, which I wasn't crazy about, but overall, I really love this book, and I recommend it if you love science fiction with a message. Next up is Ordeal by Innocence from Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is one of my all-time favorite authors. Her books are so much fun to read. They're easy to fly through because you just want to know what keeps happening. But this is more of a slow-burning book. It's still very quick to read, but the mystery unfolds way more slowly than the previous books of hers I've read. But I really enjoyed it because it allowed me to get to know the characters more. I should probably tell you the synopsis of the book. This book follows a man who goes to the home of this family, the Argyle family. And 2 years ago, their son, Jack, was convicted of killing the mother, and he died in prison. But this man comes along, Dr. Calgary, and he tells them that he has an alibi for Jack. Jack was innocent, and throws the family into turmoil. And it's just really interesting to see how each of the family members have their own motivations, how they could have each have committed the crime. And I really loved learning about each of the characters. And I like that Christie did a slow burn with this story. The ending does feel rushed compared to the other parts of the novel, but it's a fantastic read. It's completely different from the Amazon series that just came out, so you can read this without being spoiled by the series and vice versa. But I thought this was a really good mystery. And the last book I want to mention is a very divisive book, and when you read it, you'll know why. But it's called Behind Your Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I won't go into too much detail with this book because the less you know, the better. But it involves a woman named Louise, who is a secretary at a psychiatrist's office. She has a drunken hookup one night and then realizes the next day that that drunken hookup is her new boss, the new psychiatrist at the clinic she works at. And then she becomes friends with his wife, and that's all I'm going to say. But this was an absorbing novel. I loved reading about all three of the characters. I like seeing how they each had their own side of the story. The ending I really enjoyed because I wasn't expecting it, but it doesn't mesh with the rest of the novel. That's my only complaint with this book. Otherwise, this is a mind flip of a novel. I definitely recommend reading it, giving it a chance, seeing what you think about the ending, because the ending is what really hammers things home. But this is a really absorbing, domestic drama mystery book. I really enjoyed it. Now let's get into the plethora of movies I've enjoyed, which, by the way, if you'd like to see what I watched before I film these videos, you can follow me on Letterboxd, and I also write written reviews for all the movies I've watched, including the ones I don't mention in my favorites on my website, which I also have book reviews for all the books I mentioned on my website as well. You can find those links in the description box down below. But the first movie up I really enjoyed was Mary and the Witch's Flower. If I were to summarize this movie, I would say it's Studio Ghibli meets Harry Potter. This is not a Studio Ghibli film, but it has that feeling, and the art style is very reminiscent. And it follows this young girl named Mary who discovers one day that she has powers. And it's just such a wonderful film. The English voice cast does a really good job. Ruby Barnhill, Kate Winslet, Jim Broadbent, they're all great. And I really enjoyed this. It was cute and whimsical. And again, it's like Studio Ghibli had a baby with Harry Potter, and this is that movie. It was just adorable. The next movie up is Slow West. This stars Michael Fassbender and Cody Smith-McPhee. And it's a Western, and it does move pretty slowly, so hence the name Slow West, but it's very beautifully shot. The performances are great. I love the story. It doesn't have much of a story, but what's there is really solid and packs a punch. And it's a very slim movie, even though it is slow. It's only about 81 minutes long, I believe, so you can watch it pretty quickly. But it is a very, very well done film, and it's very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I also really loved 8th Grade. This is Bo Burnham's feature film directorial debut. He also wrote the film, which I think is amazing considering you're seeing all these events through the eyes of an 8th grade girl. And Elsie Fisher, who plays the main character, is marvelous. This is one of her only acting roles, and she knocks it out of the park. She is a natural, and it's very easy to relate to because, you know, you're seeing this girl go through puberty, learning about sexuality, going through the hardships of going to school, not feeling like she doesn't fit in, dealing with friends. It's very easy to relate to that because most of us when we were in middle school, 8th grade, had those issues of transitioning into being an adult. And it's just a wonderful treat of a film. It definitely takes you back to 8th grade. And again, it just feels so natural and so realistic. And I think it's a really good film that more people need to see. The next movie up is probably my favorite that I've seen all summer, to be honest. And that is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. That's the longest ass name of a movie I can think of. But it's such a beautiful story. It follows this writer who decides to go to the island of Guernsey after she receives a letter from one of the residents who said they started a book club during the war to get through it. They survived on potato peel pies, and she really wants to meet this group of individuals, and when she does, it changes her life. Lily James is effervescent in this role. She's utterly charming. She puts a smile on your face. She can break your heart in this movie. And also Mikhail Huisman and Glenn Powell are really good in this as well. I love that there's kind of a mini Downton Abbey reunion in this film because it also stars Penelope Wilton and Jessica Brown Findlay. And it's just a wonderful treat. If you like period pieces, if you like romantic films, if you like dramas, definitely check out the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. It will both put a smile on your face, it'll make you think, it'll make you tear up. It's just so wonderful. Another movie that completely took me by surprise was First Reformed. This stars Ethan Hawke as a pastor who starts to question his beliefs after meeting a couple who are environmental activists. And this is a very powerful film. There are several moments in this film where you wonder, are they going to go this far? And yes, they do go that far. It packs a major punch. Ethan Hawke is phenomenal in this film. Just seeing him go through the motions of being a pastor who's dealing with his own inner demons is powerful, and the script is super tight, super sharp and to the point. Paul Schrader did a wonderful job with this film. It does have a lot of heavy themes, and again, there are several disturbing moments in this film, but I do recommend watching it because, like I said, it's just a sucker punch of a film. The next movie up made me almost cry the entire time I watched it, and that is My Left Foot, the story of Christy Brown. But it's based on the real life of Christy Brown, a man who had cerebral palsy, and this traces his life from childhood to when he became an adult and wrote his own book. And it's very moving, it's heartbreaking, but all the performances are outstanding. Seeing how Christy survived his childhood living in a very impoverished household full of children, dealing with both having cerebral palsy, people not really understanding what it was at the time, and, you know, coming out stronger because of it is very empowering. Again, Daniel Day-Lewis knocked it out of the park with this movie, with this performance, and it's just so moving, especially considering this is based off a real person. Another movie I thoroughly enjoyed was Upgrade. This is a film by Lee Whannell, who previously directed the third Insidious film. It stars Logan Marshall Green as a man named Gray Trace, cool name, right? Who one day finds himself a quadriplegic, and he gets this implant in his spine called stem, and this allows him to walk again. But what he doesn't really count on is the fact that stem can also help him fight and get revenge on people who made him a quadriplegic in the first place. This is a very low budget indie film, but the production values for what they are outstanding. Logan Marshall Green is awesome, and I really love the cinematography, the lighting, just everything was so cool and futuristic looking, and I thought it was very well done, especially considering the budget. So if you like movies like RoboCop, Terminator, etc., definitely check out Upgrade. Another movie that was a complete surprise to me was American Animals. This is from Bart Layton, who previously directed The Imposter, which is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend you watch that one as well. But American Animals mixes documentary sections with dramatized versions of the events, and it follows a group of college students who decide to rob their school library because the school library has books worth millions of dollars. And it's about how they're planning this heist and how it goes wrong. The actors, Evan Peters, Barry Keoghan, Blake Jenner, all great. I loved how they included the actual people that were involved in the crime and the victims of the crime as well in the documentary segments. And you'd think a film that combines documentary segments and dramatized versions of the events wouldn't mesh well, but Bart Lane seamlessly puts these together and it just works. And it's such a wonderful film to watch. You feel like you're complicit in the crime with these young men, and it's just a compelling story. Lastly is Clue. This was my first time watching this movie and I loved it. It felt like I was watching an Agatha Christie adaptation, but with humor added. And of course, this is based off the classic board game, which is one of my favorite board games of all time. And it's just a fun murder mystery. It's something that'll make you laugh. It's something that makes you think. To see the 3 different endings is really interesting. And I just really loved Clue. Now for the last segment, TV. I've really been enjoying Castle Rock. This is on Hulu. And the show is based off characters and settings from Stephen King's novels. It stars Sissy Spacek, Andre Holland, and Bill Skarsgård, and I think it's just wonderful. It is a slow burn show, but it's fantastic. There are horrific moments, there are dramatic moments, there are moments that totally destroy your heart, there are moments that make you think. It's just a very powerful show, and I can't wait to see how the next season unfurls since it was just renewed for a second season, and this is an anthology show, which means each season will be a different story. But right now, I am loving Castle Rock. I love the little Easter eggs they throw to previous Stephen King works, such as The Shawshank Redemption, Cujo, etc. I think it's just a really well done show. And lastly, I really liked Ordeal by Innocence. Like I said earlier in this video, in the book section, the Amazon series is completely different from the book. They've basically only used the bones of the novel for this adaptation. But it stands on its own, and again it follows the Argyle family. They learned that their son Jack was not the killer, but is completely different. The crime is completely rewritten in this series, but I think it's done really well. It's only a 3-episode long series, so you can easily binge it in a day if you wanted to. It's got amazing performances from Bill Nye, Luke Treadaway, Morgan Christie, and Ella Purnell. And I thought the cinematography was beautiful. I loved the sumptuous production values. The acting, again, was great. And give it a shot. It is completely different from the book, and if you're a purist, that might bother you. But I like that they're 2 separate entities and that they're not carbon copies. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a good murder mystery. So those are my favorites for the month of August. Let me know what your favorites were in the comment box down below. If you like this video, leave a like. Also make sure to share it because it helps my channel grow. If you're new here and you like what you've seen and heard, hit the subscription button and also make sure to tap the notification bell so you'll always be alerted whenever I upload a new video. If you'd like to follow me on social media sites or check out my blog and read my written reviews, all those links are in the description box down below. I love you guys. You're always my favorites. Peace and kisses. Bye!